All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Uh, Welcome to the inaugural coffee hour from Code Intelligence, where we will be answering all of your questions around, or answering all of your questions, having a chat around anything Code Intelligence and CI Fuzz related. So thank you for joining us today. So I am Josh Grant. I am the developer advocate at Code Intelligence. A little bit about myself. I come from a test automation background, so I am very familiar with unit testing, API testing, testing in the browser with things like Selenium or tools like that. I am well versed in the test automation pyramid, this kind of thing. So that's kind of my background. But of course, Code Intelligence is all about application security, all about fuzzing, all that kind of fun stuff. So today, definitely feel free to ask questions, ask questions in the chat. We're just going to kind of get easy breezy. Kind of this is the first coffee hour that we're going to have. It will be a series. So if you missed this one or you have a question for next time, definitely keep it in mind. You can also email me, josh@codeintelligence.com, if you have any questions or concerns around this. So for today, I'm going to keep it nice and light. I'm going to focus on CI Fuzz, which is a command line based application for working with fuzzing in Code Intelligence. And I will be using an example repo that we've already put up. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it. Definitely leave questions in the chat. We do have some other folks from CI here who can address your questions or direct you as needed. So I'm going to share my screen and go right into the classic terminal environment, everybody's favorite. So whether you are an application developer, whether you are an SDET or tester, or whether you're coming from the security world, if you are a security engineer or an InfoSec engineer, we all share the terminal. We all share the command line. So share this. Okay, so here it is. So I have started by cloning this getting started. So CI Fuzz CLI getting started repository. So this is a repository. Git remote v. So you can get that here. Code on GitHub. Code Intelligence, github.com/codeintelligence testing/CI Fuzz CLI getting started. So this is a helpful repository. It has pre-made examples in it in C++, in Java, and in C++ and Java. More to come soon, but these are the two that we're going to look at today. So I am coming from more of a Java background, so I will show how CI Fuzz works using Java. So using a Java example. To do that, the first thing you should do, and I encourage you to do this, try it out, is just download the CI Fuzz CLI tool. So this is a command line based tool that's freely available, free and open source. There's several versions actively being worked on, and new versions coming out approximately every week, give or take. And you can find that at, I have a fun little macro or a kind of alias for that. So you can get that at, sorry, it's a little early here. Which update CI Fuzz. So if you go to that GitHub project, Code Intelligence Testing CI Fuzz, you'll be able to find a bunch of versions, but you can also just use this fun curl command to download the latest version. So this is helpful if you just want to get the latest, you just want to try things out. I definitely encourage you to do this. So after installing this app, easy breezy, we're going to get started. So in this project, there's some examples. So as I mentioned, there's C++. There are also Java and JVM examples. So there's Java and Kotlin. Today, I'm just going to focus on the Java examples, but definitely take a look. If you are coming from the C++ world, if you're coming from the Kotlin world, if you're coming from the JavaScript or Go world, definitely take a look. So here I have two examples. I'm going to take a look at the Maven example. So CI Fuzz does integrate with some common build systems. So in the case of Java, the two main ones are Gradle and Maven. Same but slightly different. I'm going to use Maven. It seems to be the more common of the two, but Gradle is supported as well. So in this project, so we have a README, you can take a look at that, but this is kind of a standard Maven-based project. We have a POM XML, and we have some sources. And in the sources, we have, in this case, some methods, or I guess methods under test. So you can imagine having a class in your Java, and you might want to test that. You might want to write some unit tests for that class or those classes to validate the functionality. But wouldn't it be great if we could also write some unit style tests to help secure and to find security vulnerabilities in addition to functional issues like such as bugs or functional bugs? Wouldn't it be great if we could also add in some security to our Java project? So that's what we're going to explore today, is how we can use CI Fuzz to write to modify some unit tests, or to generate some unit tests or unit-like tests for being able to find security vulnerabilities and help get started with securing our application code. So here, let's see what we have. So I think I'm going to kind of start from the top down. So there is a predefined function. So I'm going to do the quick start, and I'm going to run that and show very briefly what kind of result that you would get using CI Fuzz. So here, if we go to source test, Java, POM example, we have a fuzz test case. So this is the sole test case in our testing directory. So kind of following good Maven practices, we're going to do that. And so let's take a look at what this fuzz test looks like. Well, actually, first we're going to run this fuzz test. So first we're just going to run this. This has been generated, and I've installed. So CI Fuzz run, and I specify the full package name for my Java class. So I run this. It does some things. I'm integrated with the CI Fuzz platform, which we can talk about in a little while. So this is running. Look at this. And it found a remote code execution in this function explore me. So so this is the quick and dirty example. And then also, in addition to finding this on the command line, we can also decide maybe you'd like to upload this to the CI platform to keep track of this. Maybe you have various projects that you are keeping track of vulnerabilities for, or you're scanning on a regular basis for security purposes. So you can also upload that here. I have some projects pre-configured. And so I'm just going to walk through that. So I've uploaded my findings. So in one run, I'm able to find a single or I find one security vulnerability in just a few seconds. And I'm able to upload that and keep track of that on a platform. So not only can I kind of keep track of how things like, when did I find this vulnerability, or how severe is it on some sort of like rating scale, then also I can share this with my colleagues if needed too. So very nice and easy breezy. It's kind of nice. So let's kind of unpack what we did here. So let's take a look. Let's go backwards and take a look at the generated fuzz test that was created using Code Intelligence and using CI Fuzz. So if I go under, so let's go to source test.com. So it's Java.com example. And I have my fuzz test case. Let's take a look at what this looks like. Explore. So here it is. So if you are familiar with Java and JUnit, so probably JUnit is the most used unit test framework in the world, probably. It's very common. If you're a Java developer, you've probably used it or heard of it at least. So here is an example fuzz test, which has been generated. So this looks very similar to a JUnit test. I want to point out a couple of things. So first is that instead of the @test annotation provided by the JUnit library, the JUnit package, we're using the fuzz test annotation. And this is provided by Code Intelligence, Jazz or JUnit package. So you can get a hold of that. If you take a look at the POM XML, that's a library that we can get a hold of. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is we're using this data provider. So you may or may not be familiar with the concept of data providers from Java unit testing. But basically, this is an object that provides you extra data. So this is really, so these two things together, so using the fuzz data provider to create a data object and the fuzz test annotation, these two things together give you everything you need to run a fuzz test using Jazzer or using Code Intelligence in order to secure your code. So this is very, very similar to what a unit test would look like, just adding a fuzz test instead of @test and using a fuzz data provider. So once you do that, you can construct some data into a function under test or a method under test. And in this case, we are testing this explore me class with an explore me method. So this could be something else. If you have some Java code that you're working with, you can just instantiate your class and your methods under test, and then pass in arguments as needed. So if you want to fuzz against integers, integer values, string values, if you need to construct something more complicated, you can use the data provider to do that. So let's take a look at what explore me does. Let's take a look. So explore me. So I'm going to go up to the analogous, so main Java com example. And there are two files. So we have an app. So that's kind of our main entry point. But more interestingly, we have explore me. So let's take a look at what explore me looks like. Okay, so this is a very rudimentary example of application, a Java class used in an application. But again, very kind of standard approach here. Looks very familiar if you're a Java developer. So here we have a class, have some members, we have a private int, and we also have a constructor, so it takes this. But we also have this method. So this method is explore me. And as you can see, this method, even at a glance, has some complicated branching. So there's like these if statements, and for particular values of things like A, B, and C, like some integers and strings and that kind of thing, you kind of go down this path, right? And it's not entirely obvious. So you might be able to pass in some additional, some basic values, like what if I try an int of 0, 1, 2, string of like string A, string ABC, these sorts of things, and you wouldn't really get the behavior. So the idea of explore me is that there's some highly non-trivial paths that trigger some kind of security vulnerability or some kind of severe bug. So in this case, if you get down this path and you get all the way down here, you'll eventually be able to trigger remote code execution. So that's bad. And while this is a toy example, it is helpful to know that like a lot of production code is like this, where you have some kind of untested path or you have some kind of untested branch that does trigger either very buggy behavior or very insecure behavior. So we want to be able to find this, and we want to be able to kind of figure out how to deal with these kind of crazy or these sort of highly unexpected and complicated input cases. All right, so that's it. So that is the kind of the quick demo of using CI Fuzz to find some kind of security vulnerability. And also, and I think I will cover this in detail next time, but in addition to finding this vulnerability, so this was all executed locally on my laptop. This was all executed locally on my laptop, sorry. if I'd like to upload this and share, and I can log in and take a look at this on the platform. But I think I will leave that for a future coffee hour. So that kind of concludes the quick demo. I'm happy to take questions or in the chat, or if someone wants to reach out and ask a question, that's also fine too. Okay, so will other languages be supported in the future? So this is a great question. I love this question. So currently, CI Fuzz, the command line application, supports C++ and supports Java, and also Kotlin. So it supports Java and Kotlin. They're both on the JVM. So if you're a Kotlin user, definitely check it out as well. So in the future, so currently there is Jazzer.js. So Jazzer.js is an open sourced JavaScript fuzzer that exists and is supported by Code Intelligence, by the very smart people here who work with fuzz testing and sort of application security. So in the future, Jazzer.js will be coming to CI Fuzz. So you can use CI Fuzz in conjunction with your JavaScript code as well to secure application, or just to secure your server-side JavaScript code. I have to say that it's JavaScript. And as well, there's other languages always floating around. Some people like Go. I like Python, but JavaScript is definitely on the roadmap. So yeah. Any more questions? If you have any more questions, definitely email me, josh@code-intelligence.com. I'm happy to either address your questions or get you in touch with the person who can. Oh, great question. So what other kinds of quality issues can be found, or is it mainly security vulnerabilities? I love this question. So as I said, I'm kind of from a test automation background. So yes, so traditionally fuzzing is focused on security vulnerabilities. So finding things like remote code execution, if you are like memory corruption issues, which can also trigger like crashes. So like the classic use cases and things that are supported by CI Fuzz include security vulnerabilities like remote code execution, crashes. So things like resource leaks, memory leaks, or like being able to trigger like a bad state for your application code. But you can also find it's possible to find things like functional bugs. So for example, if you have, a little while ago, I was able to find a complicated null pointer exception in Java. So null pointer exceptions can be easy to find sometimes, but they can also be very difficult depending on how you structure your classes and things. So yes, you can also find functional bugs using CI Fuzz, but also security vulnerabilities. It's a good question. Oh, how could I get a demo? So yeah, this is a good question. So this coffee hour is all about asking questions and demos. So I will be doing demos during this coffee hour. So if there's particular things you'd like to see, or you'd like to see like the CI app and the platform, if you'd like to see CI Fuzz, like the command line, if you'd like to see a specific language or something like this, I'm happy to do those kinds of demos or kind of walk through those kinds of demos. If you're really keen, definitely reach out to our sales team. They will be more than happy to provide you like a full white glove demo. But the coffee hour is helpful for kind of showing demos, just examples of what we can do. Also check out our YouTube page. There's lots of video resources there, including some demos of functionalities of not just CI Fuzz, but also Jazzer.js, which is a JavaScript standalone fuzzer. I guess I can call it that. And Jazzer, which is a standalone Java fuzzer. So that's something that CI Fuzz is based upon and makes use of. But if you specifically want to use JVM-based languages, you can use Jatsr directly as well. So check out the YouTube channel. There's some examples there of various fun things and demos. Is there a way to see or extract findings? So the next question is there a way to see or extract the findings outside of the CLI to show others in my company? Yes, there is. So I won't be covering that today, but it is possible. So as I showed, when you run a fuzz test from the CLI, it will run locally on your laptop, on your workstation, I guess I should say in general, and it will present findings that you can then address. Based on these findings as well, through the CLI, you can link that to the CI platform, so you can kind of log into CI app. It's a SaaS-based platform, and you can upload your results there. So once those are there, it's possible to either log in and view those as yourself. So you can log in and kind of view various like test results or various vulnerabilities that you have found per project. And you can also share those examples with individuals in your organization, I guess. Or individuals also can log in and look at the same projects. So yes, it is possible to share those results within folks within your company, within your organization. And if you are an organization interested in that, definitely reach out to us. We're happy to do kind of a organizational based demo, something a little more involved. Another question, very good. So can I load local results to the app platform? Yes, you can. So this is a use case that you can use using the CLI app. Suppose today you run a fuzz test. It takes a while. It can, and then a result happens. So like you start running, and then a little while later you get a result. You think, oh, this is interesting, and I'll return to this another day. So tomorrow, you could then that result is saved automatically through the CLI, so that's also kept in your project. If you then decide tomorrow, like actually I would like to upload and connect this to the application, then you can do that. So you can do a fuzz run. You can call CI fuzz run, which will execute a test, and then you can also call CI fuzz finding, which will present a finding, and then it is possible to call CI fuzz. I believe the command is remote run, and that will either if there's an existing result, that will upload that to the app. So you can do those things at different times. Yeah, so good question. Yeah. I'm a hand talker, as you may have known. All right. So we're coming up to almost halfway on the hour. So I think if there's no further questions or comments, we'll close this down. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you for the inaugural coffee hour. Enjoy a coffee or tea or beverage of your choice. But we will be joining you again at a later time. And so yeah, more demos and more things to come. So definitely thank you for joining.